Hello everybody, my name is Lori, and today I am going to show you how I set up my long arm quilting machine. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and I hope that you enjoy what I'm about to show you. But I have to say that this is just how I use my machine. This is how I set up my machine. Not every quilter does their setup exactly the same. So you could be watching other people's videos on how they set up their long arm quilting machine, and it might not be the same as the way I do mine. I did take a class on how to use a long arm quilting machine, and I have a friend who has a long arm quilting machine, and she showed me how she uses hers. I've had my machine since 2019. I got it in December of 2019. It's called a Coronet by Baby Lock, and it came with a 5-foot frame. It's not a frame that is that has a rotating mechanism on it. You have to roll up the pole by hand. It was a pretty small frame, but it's really was intended as like a household type quilting machine. Definitely not like a high-end professional grade or computerized machine. I paid $6,000 for it. I don't know how much they cost these days. I imagine that is probably in the range. Since I got my machine, I actually was able to get a larger quilt frame. So the one I have now is it's set up right now to be a 10-foot quilt frame, but I can actually put it together so it's a 12-foot frame. So I actually did a video some time ago showing me trying to set it up, put it together. So this is just, it's all put together now. So I'm just going to show you what I do when I'm getting ready to do a quilt. Thank you for watching. Alright, so this is the machine, and this is the frame. It's kind of big, so it's hard to get all in one shot. There you are. Now this was a used frame when I got it, and the mechanism for turning it is broken actually. So when I roll up the quilt on there, I actually have to do it by hand, but it still works, so it's fine. So let me take you through some of the features of the machine. I haven't used it in a bit because I've been working a lot. So it's a little bit dusty right now, so I'm going to have to clean it off before I use it, and I'll change out the needle. It's kind of a tight squeeze back here, but I got enough room to do what I need to do. It has a very long extension cord, which is great if you have a large space. So let me just go ahead and turn on. You can see the screen. So this right here, you can change the stitch length. Right there. These are the handles for needle up and needle down. You can change the speed and the start and stop over there. And I'll show you how I thread it. It has a laser on here, and the way I see, here's the laser right there, and the little red light shines down on the pattern. You can kind of see it right there. It's not red on the camera, but you just follow the lines with the laser. Alright. So I'll take you through the process of getting the pantograph put down on the table and everything. Alright. I'm going to change out the needle and clean up the machine. It's been a while since I used it because I've been working. Really haven't had a lot of time. I'm going to show you what the inside down here looks like. So this is what the underside looks like. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I change out the needle. And these are the needles that I use. Can you see that alright? I change out the needles about every 4 or 5 quilts. Some people say that they need to be changed out more often than that. Some people say that they have to be changed out for every new quilt. Every quilt deserves a new needle, is what I've been told. And that might be true, but my experience has been that that'd be kind of like wasting needles, because these needles can be used more than once. There's a way to put the needle in the machine. There's a flat side on over here, and it needs to go to the back when you put it in. Alright, so basically, I hope you saw that. There's this little nut right here. You unscrew it, you slide it in all the way up, and then tighten it again. Alright, so I'm just going to put a little drop of oil where the metal pieces rub together. Just a single drop. Doesn't take much. And if you do it when you change out the bobbin every time, that's really all you need. Okay, so I will show you how I thread the needle on here. So typically what I do is I take off the last thread spool that I was using, and I put the new one on, and I tie the two ends together. Like that. And then from the front, I pull it through. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So I just dropping things. I just cut off the piece of thread right there. Alright, so the most important part of using a long arm machine is getting the tension correct. So that was definitely the biggest learning curve for me. And really that's this, can you see that right there? Let me see if I can get you close. This right here. If you don't have that thread in there nice and tight, it won't quilt correctly. But also you don't want to have it too tight, otherwise the thread will break. Alright, so I've pulled it through there, up through this little hole up here. Then we have this little piece of metal right here. It's like a guide for the thread. It goes down, and then see the little tiny hole right here? So then you put the thread through the little hole, and then you go through the eye of the needle. Right there. Okay. Now I want to put the bobbin in. Okay. So this is the bobbin case. It looks very much like the one you'd see in a regular sewing machine, but it's a little bit bigger. So when you put the bobbin in the case, you hold this little lever, you hold it out. You see that? And that way the bobbin won't fall out. See? Okay. So then you get the bobbin in the case, and I've closed the lever right there, but I'm putting my thumb on top so it doesn't fall out. And you pull it through this little slot up here on the top. You go around, and you can hear it locking into place. See? Now it's good. You know, it's pretty good tension like that. It doesn't just slide down. Or if it does slide down, it slides down slowly. But there's another tool, let me show you real quick, you can use to make sure that the tension is correct on the bobbin. And that is this little device right here. TOWA, bobbin case tension gauge. So anyway, you take the bobbin case, you hold on to the little lever so the bobbin doesn't fall out, and then you slide it in there, and you can feel that it's in place because when you pull on the thread you have a little bit of resistance. Alright. Okay, so now I want to bring the bobbin thread up from the bottom. So I'll push this, there's a button, can you see that? Needle up, push that button, and the needle will go down and grab the bobbin thread. And then back up again. There we are. And then there's the bobbin thread. Alright. So this is the bobbin winder. It came with the machine. So I'm going to be using black thread. So we'll wind up a bobbin. So this is the brand of thread that I use. It's called Aerofill. There's other brands that you can use, but I've had good results with this brand, and so I just try to use this brand that I know that works. So I just take the thread and I put it through that little hole right there. Then I put it on the edge over here. Make sure it's nice, and you want it to be snug going through the tension gauge right there. I have it on 10 for fast, so if you hold it too tight when you start it, the thread will break. So I try not to hold too tight onto it. Alright, and that's it. Alright, so now I'm going to put the pantograph onto the tray of the quilting machine. I got this from Urban Elements. There might be, I'm sure there are other places where one can buy a pantograph, but this is the only place I've ever gotten them from. Then I'm going to be doing is flames right there, and so you can get them in different sizes. This one is about 9 inches tall, but so I'll go ahead and get it put on. These come in about 144 inches, which is 12 foot long. But since I have my frame set up to be 10 foot, I have to, of course, adjust it. And then to keep it from rolling up or bowing up, I put some tape to tape it down. And before I tape it down, though, I want to make sure that the placement's where I want it. So what I'll do is I'll take the machine, and so there's the furthest back it'll go, and the furthest forward it will go. And I want the light, the laser light here, to be able to go the entire route of the pattern without being, stopped. So that's why you can get designs in different sizes, because the throat of the machine might be different sizes. Different size machines have different throat sizes. Alright, so I've got the new needle in the machine, put in the bobbin, I put on the pantograph, and I'm going to get ready to put the backing onto the machine. And this is the material I'm going to use for the backing, and it's black. Or, you know, grunge, I guess is what they call it. Or something like it. Anyway, sometimes I don't wash the fabric before I use it, but because this is black, I washed it. And I'm really glad that I did, because I throw in a piece of fabric when I'm washing it just to see how it turns out. And I don't know if you can tell in this light, but this is what it looked like before. The white fabric that I put in with the laundry, with the fabric there, the backing. And this is what it looked like after. So I am really, really glad that I washed it before I'm about to use it. Much of the quilt that I'm doing has white fabric in it, so it's really important that I washed it. And when I give the quilt away, I will be sure to tell the recipient, who's my brother's, I'll tell him to make sure to put in like a color catcher or something like that into the laundry with the quilt, or take it to like a dry cleaner to get it cleaned. So this is crazy, the difference between the two. I'm really glad that I pre-washed it. Alright, so I'm going to put the back on to the leader right here. And the way I do that is I center it and I pin it. When I learned how to do long arm quilting, I was actually, as a part of the class, I was given zippers that you could zip on. So you pin the quilt, you put the zipper onto here, and you put the other side on the quilt back, and you can zip it up, which is great, except for in the class they only gave me 1/2 of the zippers, and that's because the purpose of the class was to get basically trained to use the long arm quilting machine that they had there at the store. And so they only gave you 1/2 of the zippers. The other 1/2 was actually at the store. So it's kind of useless to me here, but on my list of things to do is to actually make my own zippers. I just haven't done it yet. Alright, so this is what's going to happen. I find the center. This is, I think, a 108 backing. And this right here, the center of the fabric, the center of the leader is marked right here. And this is the center of the backing. So this is much, much wider than what I need. So what I'll do is I'll put it on here, and then I will cut off the sides that I don't need. Now, sometimes what I'll do is, if it's freshly out of the laundry and I've washed it, is what I will do is iron it. But this is so big that I'm just not going to do that. Right when I get it on the machine, on the frame, and everything's set up, it'll be taut enough that it won't be necessary. So I'm just going to do some little placekeeping right here, just to mark the spot, and then I'm going to trim off the amount that I don't need. Now, when you're pinning the quilt back to the leader, Let me show you this if I can. So the way I do it is I put the two edges together and I pin it like this. And I have seen it differently. I've seen it, hold on a second, let me show you another way of doing it. And I've done it this way, but I don't love it, so I don't do it. Is instead of having the two edges together like that, you overlap them like this and pin it like that. And I don't like doing it like that, so I don't. I've seen a new product advertised where people are using super strong magnets, and they don't pin it at all. They just have two pieces of magnets that go together like this. And maybe that's something I'll do in the future. But right now I'm good with pinning it. So let me go ahead and get started on that, and I'll be back. Alright, so I have it mostly pinned on. I just want to do a size check just to see how the top is going to fit and where I can trim down the sides. Alright, so I like the backing to be 4 or 5 inches extra, be on the edge of the quilt. So if the quilt ends here, I want the backing to be maybe 6 inches, about this far, whatever that is, on each side. So what I would do is I would take and just cut and then just tear it down. I'll do the same over here. Alright, so what I need to do now is attach the bottom half of the quilt to the bottom part right here. So what I have to do is I roll it up, I'm using this up here. I can roll it up like such. And I gotta roll it all the way up. Trying to keep it nice and smooth as I go. Alright. So it's all rolled up right there, and now I have to attach the bottom to this leader here. This can be tricky because sometimes if you don't get it just right, it'll twist. And you don't want it to twist because then it just won't look right. So what I do to kind of make sure it's not going to twist is I do a little test. So I've attached it there, and I'm going to roll it up some more to make sure it doesn't have any wrinkles in it. Do a little couple of places. Let's see what happens. Well, it's a good start. We shall see how it goes. I've had it a couple of times where I think it's nice and straight and it ends up being all twisted and it's a mess. That's just how it goes sometimes. Okay, let's see. Go ahead and get the bottom pinned on there. Alright, so now I have the bottom attached, but I have to actually unwind it so that the bottom is on the reel down here. What's important is to make sure that when you're putting the backing on the quilt frame that you are winding it in the correct direction. As I'm winding it up, I'm going to keep an eye out for any twists and for any lint that can be cleaned up. So I did that kind of quick, but before I actually start to do any actual quilting, I'll redo it. I want to make sure we got, it seems to rolled up okay. I don't see any obvious wrinkles, but you see right here, you see how the fabric looks like it just kind of traveled over in that direction? I want to be aware of that because it could indicate that it's twisted, that it's not on there correctly. But when I tore the edge off, it could have just not torn straight, and that could be why it's like that. So when I'm actually doing the quilting, what I want to show you real quick is that I was saying before, you want to make sure that that when you roll it up, it rolls up in the direction that you want it to roll up in. So let me show you real quick what can happen. If it's not rolled up in the correct direction, the quilting machine, it could get too thick, and it'll make it drag a little bit when you're quilting. So it's just something to be aware of when you're actually rolling it up. And also for the bottom, if this fabric were underneath the bottom, it would be too low. It would be actually below the base of the quilting machine. So here's the base. I don't know if you can tell, but there's the base. If the fabric were on the bottom side of the rail, it would be way below the base, and we don't want that. Alright, so another thing to be aware of is the tension on the backing. And if it's too tight, your tension when you're quilting won't be right. It could be too tight, could cause your thread to break. And when you're quilting, what'll happen is it'll bounce. Your fabric will bounce a lot. You'll know that you're too tight if you got a whole bunch of bouncing. Some people make theirs really, really loose. I tend to go for a slightly more snug fit, but not too snug because, like I was saying, it'll mess it up. Alright. So before I actually quilt the quilt, I want to test the pattern, and I want to test the machine, make sure it's stitching out okay. So that way I can make any adjustments to tension. So what I do is I grab some leftover batting, lay it out. Now the batting has two sides. One side is more bumpy than the other side. See, this side's a little bit more bumpy, and that side's a little bit more smooth. When I put it on, I like the bumpy side to be up. And I will tell you that somebody else might want the bumpy side down. I like the bumpy side up. Alright, so this is just a practice piece. So I just lay it out there, and I'm going to put a piece of scrap fabric on there. In fact, I'll just use this. I like to do a row, practice row, a whole row. That way I get a good feel. I get to practice the pantograph. And I get a nice large area to make sure my stitches are okay. Okay. Alright, now what I want to do is attach the leaders, these bungees. Side. Okay. So that's all attached on each side. And so now I'm going to do a practice row. You'll also know if you have it too tight if this bar bends. If you see it bending in, you know that's definitely too tight then. What I do before I even do the practice row is I do a basting stitch just across the top. It holds the top piece in place. Okay, so let's see how our stitches turned out. Let's take a look underneath. That's the important part. Oh, can you see that? Can you see the... I hope you can see the design. So it looks like some of the batting is being pulled through, punched through. Well, I think it turned out pretty good. Let's see the top. Yep. I think it looks okay. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see. Yep, I think it looks okay. So we'll go ahead and finish the row. That way I get nice practice before doing the actual quilt. Alright, so now that I have done some practice stitching on here, I'm happy with the way it's stitching out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the actual quilt on. So the type of batting that I use is called natural cotton batting. It's not bleached. It's supposed to be all cotton, or mostly cotton, if not all cotton. It says 100% cotton on there, but I don't know, maybe. So I use this just to help it lay flat. And of course I am always on the lookout for lint and hairs and loose threads and whatever else. Alright, so we're all set up, ready to go. I'll go ahead and get this thing quilted, and what I'm probably going to do is make a new video with the actual quilting. Alright, well, thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope I was able to, I don't want to say teach you anything, but at least show you how I do it. And you can compare me to how other people do it, and if you're a long armer or you want to become a long armer, then this is just a tool. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and talk to you next time. Okay, bye bye.